No. No. No, 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 no! No, 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 no!
It's that time.
Could you do this 1 year without causing structural damage to the house?
That answer is completely dependent on the amount of doors, walls, and support beams to the house that get in the way of me and my end-of-year excitement.
Whatever. Let's just do our Andy and James's review of all the games we played in the second half of 2020.
Also, no, we will never think of a shorter name for that.
Just a reminder of our usual rules for this. These quickfire reviews are for games we have not yet reviewed separately, played a significant portion of and/or beaten, and that we played between July and December 2020. Now that the rules have been reminded, James has begun sweeping up his mess, and Okra has thrown up the ceremonial cat toy we thought she would like but she ended up eating, let us get started on this twice-a-year event. Also, stay tuned after our short reviews for our Game of the Year awards. Alright, let's start in no particular order with...
Are you not a fan of horror movies? Are you not a fan of ghosts? Are you not a fan of otherworldly occurrences designed to make you feel anxious? Do you have 2 to 3 friends who also aren't a fan of these things? Grab them and jump headfirst into Phasmophobia.
This pants-soiling ghost hunting simulator brings together the best tropes from ghost hunting shows and combines it with the ability for some friends to join you and investigate houses, asylums, farms, and prisons in order to identify what kind of ghost is haunting the place. The goal is to use the tools you and your friends bring along to figure out what kind of ghost it is, so an exorcism team can go in and remove the ghost.
The challenge increases as your hunter level goes up after each hunt and as your sanity meter begins to deplete during each hunt. The more the merrier in this game as you and your friends slowly get more afraid and things fly around more often as... Oh no!
That happens. Anyway, suit up, set out, and make sure you buy smudge sticks because you should purchase a few of everything in case you entrusted that task to James and he dies. You lose all your tools you brought with you if you die. And now we don't have the extra cameras for the next hunt. Thanks a lot, James. Ah! Oh. He threw a mug at me. Let's move on.
While this game originally hit us in 2018, it was not only popularized in 2020, but it came out on the Switch too. This Town of Salem ripoff pits several people against each other in an attempt to figure out who isn't quite who they say they are. Complete tasks or fake them, walk from spot to spot or vent to them, and do your best to make your case for humanity the loudest because no one believes anyone and you gotta do your best to look human. Unfortunately, you gotta do what you can before the
voting phase, a time to come together, to discuss, and to vote out the dirty, rotten, fake and faker. And by the way, before anyone yells anything, it was James.
And I was voted off. Again, for the 8th time in a row. I've resigned to my fate as the first to die in every situation, so find a bunch of friends, pick a map, pick a color, and argue over how fast non-imposters and actual imposters can move. You're in for a fun night if you're not me, and a rough night if you are me.
For a game with the most basic grasp on its own physics engine, there sure is a lot to do in it.
Good Job is a game about working your way up the multiple floors of a company gifted to you by your father. One problem, you're not exactly qualified for the job. You become a jack of all trades as you try to water every plant, deliver a gelatinous cube, heat the cryogenics lab, and drop boxes onto trucks. You don't do any of these long enough to be good at them, but that's one of the most enjoyable parts of this game.
I'm not really sure any of these skills, specifically the ones centered around structural damage, are applicable to real life, but you do get a score at the end of every level based on the damage you've caused and your time. But if you want the true CEO experience, disregard any thoughts of timing or cost of damages and do everything with the least regard for your life or others. It's the true Good Job experience. See? James is getting the hang of it.
This game is great! Highly recommended! Let's keep going!
If you're looking for one of the most casual gaming experiences 2020 can give you that isn't DLC-stuffed garbage or a $60 early access game, then Shantae and the Seven Sirens is the game for you. This installment in the series removes any of the heavy lifting the player had to do as far as combat, travel, item collection, boss fighting, and gameplay in favor of an experience even new Metroidvania, God I hate that word, players can enjoy and get through. This is not to say the game is bad because it leveled out every portion of its gameplay. Rather, it made an even playing field across everything to make it easier for everyone to play. It's a game that wants you to play it, and wants you to complete it. It also bestows upon us so many more reasons for Shantae to come to Smash Ultimate. Come on! We have 3 spots left! We can do this! Just keep praying! Sorry about that. Moving up.
In
what
may
be
peak
wasted
aesthetic
we
find
ourselves
in
the
world
of
vitamin
connection game
about
working
together
to
take
on
sicknesses
viruses
and
a
meteor
that
plans
to
destroy
the
Earth.
Sorry
About
the
spoilers,
it's
really,
dumb.
this
Game
is
one
of
the
slowest
on
rails
quick
fire
puzzle
solving
games
that
you
begin
to
feel
very
very
fast.
fast.
If
Vitamin
connection
had
just
kept
with
the
virus
fighting
it
had
in
the
first
3
to
4
levels
but
increased
the
difficulty
and
speed bit
and
removed
that
stupid
grabber
mechanic
this
would
have
been
a
better
game
not
worth
much
if
you
don't
have
a
second
player
to
share
the
game
with
and
if
you
want
to
start
a
single
player
campaign
your
progress
resets.
it's
A
game
that
focused
more
on
its
slow
complicated
story
than
any
of
its
gameplay.
elements.
All right,
Let's keep going.
why? Like, why would a hike be short? Those things are supposed to be so long you think about giving up your life to see if you can make it in the woods.
That's not the point here, James. The point of a short hike is to be able to go anywhere and do anything an open world game would let you do without 45 minutes of walking and seeing nothing. You walk 2 feet and suddenly there's all this stuff to see and do. There's challenges, there's collectibles, there's fun to be had in this compact yet dense game about traveling, enjoying nature, and taking your time. Oh, and there's music. An actual soundtrack can be had from this game.
So, you're saying there's a AAA developer out there that should be taking notes from this wonderful indie game.
Not just one, all. All developers considering open world games should take note. Please add music. Please decrease travel time. And for the love of Nehru, make your playable characters adorable. I want something easy to make into a plushie so I can add it to the collection. What? I'm an adult. I can want plushies.
I'm scared. Can we keep going?
At our own pace.
Jackbox Party Pack 7 is here, and it brings with it 5 games not so much chock full of fun, but still kind of fun for a few plays. Quiplash 3, which is Quiplash, but more of that. It's still hilarious and still boundless fun that is only stopped by your imagination, and the funniest person in the room.
Devil's in the Details, a game about working together with other players to complete tasks. It's underwhelming and requires a lot of focus. Also not good for streaming.
Champed Up, a game about drawing heroes, their villains, and more. It's kind of funny, but it won't hold your attention as long as Quiplash 3 will.
Talking Points. It's the presentation game. You're giving a presentation and another player is in control of when the images behind you change and you just gotta work the image into your presentation. Another one that's basically unstreamable.
Finally, Blather Round, a game with such frustrating rules and design that even the most easygoing person you know will choose any other game in this pack to play. Overall, it's a rather underwhelming pack, with Quiplash 3 definitely being the standout. If you can get that one separately, do it. It's really the only one worth full price from Pack 7. Alright, let's keep going with... This is a remaster of a game that is extremely unkind to players who don't already have a wealth of knowledge of the gameplay, the hidden collectibles, and the secret secondary uses for each Unite form. It's colorful and you can make a giant sword, but most things in this game will strike you before you can figure out how to counter them. This game is hard to recommend unless you watch someone play it first, and by then it's not worth buying because you know the story already. Anyway, it's more platinum even if it's just a remaster. I still like making a giant hand and punching stuff. Alright, next we have...
Why does this game remind me of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy Halloween episode?
That's basically what it is, only without Billy, Mandy, or Grim. The devil released monsters upon the earth. Those monsters eventually began to not do their job and follow some random wizard, so the devil hired you to stop the wizard from turning those monsters to the wizard's side. This is actually a very fun game. This is one of the best controlled 3D platformers I've played since a hat in time. There's different weapons with different stats, different areas with a wealth of collectibles that unlock different costumes, and even an identifiable player character.
You're saying we can identify with this lazy, ornery, selfish, pumpkin-headed guy who dislikes everyone and has no reason to trust every Sally and Sam that walks up to him. Oh my god, I identify with him so hard.
This is an actually good game that is definitely more of a fad game than anything else, even if it did get a Christmas update. It was fun while it lasted, and the credits even show the game's various development states. A+, Pumpkin Jack. Nicely done.
In the interest of not throwing up all over our microphone, I'm going to leave the room so James can review it alone. Because it's gross. Not because I left a burger in the microwave and now it's cold, and I have to heat it up again.
Carrion is about a monster who was once human, I think, trying to do something. I'm not sure, I didn't pay attention long enough. All I know is your size dictates what abilities you can and can't use, and it was really stupid when the turrets became involved, because you had to repeat entire sections of the game because you took damage, therefore had to go back, retrieve biomass, and go through it all again. Or you were too big and had to take damage to become small again. It's a body horror game where you are the horror. It had an interesting premise, but it eventually feels very boring, and there's no minimap of any kind to guide you, so you get lost in these samey environments super easily. Oh well, it was good for a few laughs.
Have you ever wondered what a Mega Man game would be like without dedicated guns, or the ability to determine what is floor and what is scary death pit? Then look no further than Panzer Paladin, a game that had a much better premise than the game actually delivered. Anxiously sweat as you decide which of your weapons to put into each checkpoint, lest you die and need to repeat the entire section of game over. Grumble as you try to figure out the stupid spirit system and what that has to do with your weapons. It's another wasted aesthetic you'll wish went to a better game. Oh well. Panzer Paladin, Mega Man but with swords.
So, this game is pretty good. If you ignore the totally useless multiplayer mode, which ultimately has no purpose, no endgame, and no reason to have been added except, hey look, this 1X concept is back!
Yeah, this is actually a faithful and fun remaster that will strike your nostalgia bone pretty hard. While there are some strange updates to a few of the boss battles that either cause the difficulty to spike or dip, this is a great game. Certainly one 2020 needed in these trying times.
The PS2 version will always have our hearts, but this one did come pretty fucking close. You still collect golden spatulas to open up new areas, still collect socks for Patrick, and still have so much fun traveling in SpongeBob's dream. They even updated some of the animations so more emotions can be shown in conversation. It's a game that got one heck of a remaster. Now on to...
Another remaster that only increased our love for the series. Destroy All Humans, originally on PS2, is about an alien attempting to save a fellow Furon from America in the late 50s, when fear of extraterrestrial life was at an all-time high. You'll throw cars, steal brain stems, and disintegrate city officials in yet another faithful remake.
So faithful, there's a warning before you start playing indicating that some jokes made in the game are no longer okay, but for posterity were kept in there, which could probably have been kept out in favor of new jokes. Overall, this game is an improvement in every way over the original. It handles so much better on the PS4.
Seriously though, the world seems so much more populated and vibrant in this remaster. I'm not a huge fan of the series, but I do have to admit, some of these environments make me excited to see if any of the sequels get the remaster treatment.
Also, in all seriousness, the dash move is the greatest thing in gaming. This simple new ability is one of the best improvements I didn't know this game needed. I am overjoyed that it exists and overused it every chance I got. Absolutely chef's kiss.
Did you just say chef's kiss?
The dash move is worth sounding stupid.
This is a game I'm hesitant to review. You see, No Straight Roads is one of the only rhythm-based games I will ever be able to recommend. The mechanics that went into creating this world, and even the battle system, to create engaging gameplay that changes according to how intense the music around you is getting, are mind-boggling. At the same time, all of these great pieces and parts feel like they weren't fully tested or realized. They feel more like a house of cards rather than a well-built mansion they try so hard to be. An example, enemies and music. You see, NSR is a combo-based rhythm game with music that changes as enemies approach you. Sounds cool, right? However, enemies were not programmed with stun frames, making any and all combos near useless because enemies can just interrupt any and all combos. This creates a battle system that creates more frustration than good memories. But if it frustrates you too much, just double jump out of bounds. Trust me, it's fun. Look, half of a building! Anyway, No Straight Roads is awash with creativity, color, tunes, and just downright fun, but it feels rough and untested during some parts of the game itself. Fun, but a stiff wind would probably blow it over. Alright, moving on. Axe Cop is a set of comics about a cop who found an axe and became a cop with an axe. It's a story by a toddler and illustrated by his older brother that became a comic, a TV show, and now a game. As I mentioned before, the story is written by a toddler, so you can only imagine how disjointed, confusing, and downright, well, juvenile it can get at times. There are 8 villains to take down, all with varying lengths of plot leading up to them, and varyingly dumb mini-games you have to complete before you can reach the boss. The croquet one was my favorite, even if it was completely unnecessary. It's a fun game in small doses that will remind us all that the mind of a child is wildly entertaining, even if each thought is a little disjointed and confusing. It's another game designed to make you rage as you lose, only with a worse grasp on its own physics engine than any game I've ever seen. This game deserves no more attention or thought time from us. We're moving on. This is a genuinely great game. A standout RPG with well-written characters and a narrative that draws you in and will have you begging for more.
Wait, really?
Yes. I know you were about to gush about it, but then again, who wouldn't? Even if it is just a remaster of a Vita game, it feels like it can competently stand up to today's AAA titles and still hold its own. It's got a great story that felt exciting and mysterious, it has mechanics that are fun to use even if they're difficult to master, it even had a map that was easily accessible that you could fill in as you explored. I know it's not a novel concept, but it felt rewarding.
Specifically after you went back to the Governor General and got a reward for every 10% of the map you discovered. Ys Memories of Celceta is a great game that only excites me for Ys 9 and makes me want to replay Ys 8. I may even complete the Steam version of this game I got for my birthday before the PS4 version came out.
Ah yes, nothing says big fan like owning and beating several versions of the same game.
Andy, how many copies of Hyper Light Drifter do you have?
All of them. It is no longer a big fan thing. This is a way of life.
This shameless amalgamation of ideas so blatantly stolen from other games it practically screams Breath of the Wild at you at every turn serves better as a warning rather than a game.
Genshin Impact is a warning so desperate for you to spend money, it'll halt your progress if you make too much in a day using the Adventure rank, which uses a brand of experience currency gained from the too few side quests that exist and reset every day, fighting knockoff enemies in the wild, and bringing these wispy things to different torches in the world.
This is what games are becoming, guys. So packed full of identical yet different currencies, you'll swear you have what you need when you don't. So blatantly wanting to be other games, they'll straight up steal animations and mechanics from them just to keep people talking about them long after their window of relevancy has passed.
Oh, also, it has a loot box system that affords you stronger versions of your characters and their weapons which are otherwise unobtainable. This is a warning that we won't take because it has all the husbandos and waifus you can handle.
Even if it is a somewhat more anime rendition of the Corrupted Gods, Only You Can Save Us story that everyone in their Ubisoft seems to be piling onto, I think we can all agree, at least it's free. It's a free adventure game with a somewhat competent story, kind of likable characters, and some actually funny dialogue. Because yes, Paimon is emergency food. Don't at me.
Can we move on before you make me say any more scary internet words? We don't really give any time to any sort of idle RPG, but this one struck a chord with us because it's one designed to be played during Twitch streams. Simply set up a battle, encourage your viewers to add units to the field, and when the on-screen timer, which can be set up as a separate widget on your OBS or XSplit screen, is up, click Battle. You'll get gold, scrolls to power up and unlock units, and sometimes skins. Yeah, it has a pass system, but it's about as idle as the rest of the game, so it's something you gotta look at once every 30 or so minutes.
My favorite unit is the Bomber. He's a bomber man.
I see what you did there. Alright, that was our final review. It's finally time!
Time for us to give out our completely innocuous and inconsequential awards. As usual, Andy and I will both give our own versions of best, okayest, and worst games of the year. In addition, we give out 4 fun awards.
The Multiple Versions Award, given to the game that deserves to be bought on every system it releases on. PC, Switch, Xbox, mobile phones, the iToilet, all of them.
The We Needed This Award, given to the game that was really needed this year. 2020 was rough for a lot of people, and video games are a great escape from the cruelty of it. This is a game that didn't have to go above and beyond to show us that even when the world is on fire, we can truly rely on it to relax us and help us escape.
The Worst Game Mechanic Award, given to a piece or part of a game that really stands the test of time as the worst part of any and every game. If you've seen any of our Game of the Year award segments in the past, you can guess at what we're giving this year's award to.
And finally, the Let's Try This Again Award. This award is given to a game we played this year that we feel may not have lived up to the expectations set for its release. So we'll try it again in 2021 and see if our feelings about it change.
Now that we know the awards, it's time we know the games that have all gathered here in an attempt to receive some of these awards. The games we played in 2020, including already reviewed titles and 1 or 2 yet to be reviewed, are...
No More Heroes for Nintendo Switch.
Spy Hack.
Pure Pool.
Iconfell.
Paper Mario: The Origami King.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity.
Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Boomerang Fu.
Ninjala.
Breakpoint.
De-Leveled.
Concept Destruction.
Skellboy.
The Ambassador: Fractured Timelines.
Streets of Rage 4.
Super Crush KO.
Kunai.
What the Golf? On Nintendo Switch.
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Table Manners.
1980X.
One Finger Death Punch 2.
Phasmophobia.
Among Us.
Good Job.
Shantae and the Seven Sirens.
Vitamin Connection.
A Short Hike.
Jackbox Party Pack 7.
Wonderful 101 Remastered.
Pumpkin Jack on Nintendo Switch.
Carrion.
Panzer Paladin.
SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Destroy All Humans Remaster.
No Straight Roads.
Axe Cop RPG.
Songs for a Hero,
Ys, Memories of Celceta,
Genshin Impact,
Stream Raiders,
Fall Guys, Debilitating Din! That's a lot of games. I guess we should do what we usually do and start from the bottom with our Worst Game of the Year awards. It's always fun combing through a year's library for the worst one in the pile, the one that stood out as the biggest waste of time, the biggest waste of space, and the biggest waste of potential. Because that's what my award this year hinges on, potential. There was so much of it that was wasted, specifically on 2 games this year. So my version of Worst Game of the Year will be split between 1980X and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Both of these games had the exact same problem that could have been solved if they were anything more than early access games at launch. Only Animal Crossing has attempted to remedy this issue by adding updates and events. At the same time, however, I cannot forgive the launch version of this game. Absolutely despicable gatekeeping progress in the game, forcing many players to time skip ahead days or weeks just so they could unlock vital pieces of Animal Crossing gameplay, like Tom Nook's shop or the Dinning Museum. 100% unforgivable. 1980X gets this award because it plays and ends like a prequel game. You went through these 5 knockoff arcade games for no reward, no payoff, no story development. Nothing. You paid full price for an early access game. Both of these are full price tests of their player bases, and I was not a fan. Man, that was a rant.
It should surprise no one at this point that my Worst Game of the Year award goes to Paper Mario: The Origami King. This abuse of the carefully constructed source material and blatant disregard for Paper Mario's fans will likely stand the test of time as one of the worst games I've ever played. It has little to no actual substance, it will constantly rewrite its own rules to allow plot to happen, and even the plot makes no sense at all. There is so much more to say, but if you're curious about our other thoughts, please watch a review. We were very thorough.
On a slightly more positive note, we have our okayest games of the year. These are given to the most middle-of-the-road games. They did nothing spectacular, but nothing about them was inherently awful. They're fine games, worth their weight in sale price. My version of okayest game of the year goes to Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. This subpar excuse for a continuation of the very boring Breath of the Wild storyline will do just enough to keep your attention, but is so boring you'll barely notice it ended. Or you played it. Or that you unlocked spoiler character while just looking for supplies. Seriously, I wasn't even trying to unlock spoiler character, and they just showed up in my list of playable characters. Anyway, it's boring, subpar, and uninteresting, but no part of it is glaringly horrible enough to drag it into bad territory. It can wear this okayest game of 2020 patch with pride, I suppose?
My version of okayest game won't be so negative.
Hey.
In fact, I really hope the developers take this as a sign they're doing well. My okayest game of the year award goes to Stream Raiders. Now, this is not to say they aren't spectacular or that they're bad. It's an idle RPG that I play with my viewers while streaming. I poke it 4 times an hour and my viewers like it. I can't really interact with it, I can't make it do much more than it does, but I enjoy the strategy behind planning captain placement. It gets my okayest game award because it's a fine game, one I recommend to streamers specifically. It does what it does well, and it's my first idle RPG. It actually makes me want to play more of them someday. Good on you, Stream Raiders.
Before we send off our real, actual Best Game of the Year awards, we gotta give out our other 4 awards. We'll start with the Multiple Versions Award, and for some reason, James wants us to both give out our different versions of this one. Okay, well, if you wanted to give me an excuse to gush more about Hyper Light Drifter, congratulations, because it goes to that. Before you say there was no version of it that released in 2020, you'd be right. But Abulite did open up pre-orders for the long-awaited Switch Physical Edition in 2020, so there! Also, James wrote a whole bit for me to read here, but no matter how many times he asked me to just read the script, I keep talking about Hyper Light Drifter. He eventually gave up and let me have my way.
To those familiar with me and my tendency to speak at length about games I like, this should come as no surprise that my Multiple Versions award goes to Songs for a Hero. It released on Steam in April of 2020 and is coming to consoles soon, and when it does, I plan to play it and beat it on each one I can purchase it on. Switch? You betcha. Andy Switch? You betcha. PS4? PS yes. Xbox? I'll just play it on Switch again to compensate. It's a great game that deserves all the support it gets.
Next up, we have the I Needed This award. The game we give this immensely important award to deserves it beyond most others. This game was such an escape, such a small piece of paradise while the world was on fire, such a perfect little morsel of love and compassion for life and game development, that I'm gonna play it again after we're done recording this. A short hike. Everything felt safe while I was exploring this compact yet vast world in this game. There was no air of gloom around me as I traveled for 10 minutes, opposed to the adventure game mandated 60 to find new challenges, collectibles, and areas to explore. A short hike is such a perfect window of happiness that even deep into 2021, I'll be replaying it over and over just so it can again wash away all my worries, concerns, and displeasures with a little adventure, a little travel, and an actual soundtrack. Cannot emphasize that enough.
Ooh, I get to read a paragraph now. Okay. Our third award is the Worst Game Mechanic Award. I love giving this award every year. It's so refreshing to use the same tagline for this award every single time. I get to say it with such vigor, such enthusiasm, that one day it may go on a shirt that I can wear proudly and confidently. Our Worst Game Mechanic Award is again doled out to in-game currency that can't be earned easily and loot boxes, because just in case you forgot from last year, and here comes the tagline, loot boxes are shit. Yet still we let these currencies artificially restrict content behind paywalls casual players will always be hesitant to cross. Yet still we tell you every year that these practices are stupid, predatory, and ridiculous. It's okay though. One year, hopefully soon, we can say our message got through. People are starting to realize our tagline for this award meant something to them, and they too will confidently say with us, loot boxes are shit.
Dare to dream. Our final of our 4 fun awards is the Let's Try It Again award. We're giving this one to a game we played in 2020 that we feel may not have been worth our time upon release. But playing it again in 2021 may change our minds. Games with some sense of replay value such as Ninjala or Genshin Impact would fall into this territory. Before you type out your long-winded message about us potentially blaspheming ourselves, we're giving it to New Horizons. Yes, I know, I just bashed it being a $60 early access game not even 10 minutes ago, but it's Animal Crossing. It's a game made to be played again in a year. 2 years from now, 10 years from now. We even pop in the original on GameCube and boot up Wild World sometimes. Plus, New Leaf was such a triumph, such a glorious, glowing goldmine of fun, that New Horizons has to take notes at some point, right? It can't be this arduous, boring, restrictive grind even in July of 2021, right? Well, I'll find out right around that time and eventually let you know what I find.
Alright guys, we've moved past the vindictive awards, the okay awards, the worst awards, and that one award that still confuses you. I even got to take a few more digs at Origami King.
That's your new brawl out, isn't it?
Yes it is, and no one remembers that game. I even got another jab in just then at 2 of the worst games I've ever played. Anyway, now that we've gotten that out of the way, it's time we finally give out our Best Game of the Year awards. Even way past 2020 is some of the best experiences produced in gaming, shining beacons of light that future releases should look toward when considering what games to take guidance from. My version of this award, surprise surprise, goes to Songs for a Hero. This absolute triumph of a game combines something I love with something I really do not love very much to create a combination I never truly knew I needed, until I completed it several times. Platforming adventure games, and sing-alongs, because I really do not like sing-alongs. Songs for a Hero is a very comfortable experience that challenges you at times, isn't clogged with power-ups and useless items, and is downright great. Not only that, the communities behind development and publishing are some of the greatest. If you want more of our in-depth thoughts and a fun story about the first time we ever streamed the game, check out our review.
So, you've let me have the last word. You allowed me the privilege as the final award this year. Permit me to get your final digs in at the swill that bubbled to the surface of gaming, then drop a bomb that is my game of the year. I should feel so lucky. No fanfare here. My game of the year is Phasmophobia. You see, while I'm not afraid of ghosts or working with others, I do get slightly anxious when things fly across the room and sudden apparitions appear to eat my friends. Not only does Phasmophobia nail the atmosphere in which any and all of your friends feel uneasy, it is fun to play with others too. This is one game, of 5 I've kept track of, where playing with others isn't a giant mind-numbing waste of time and effort. I genuinely look forward to playing with others because it's actual fun. 2020 wasn't a fantastic year for gaming, but if you have yet to even touch Phasmophobia, I highly recommend it. Full price. It is worth the support, it is worth yelling at your friends to run away, and it is worth having extra pants nearby for. That last part is something James mentioned. I think he may have scaredy dumped through his.
And there we have it, Gateway to Drobit's Game of the Year Awards, in addition to our half-year review of all the games we played. We certainly hope you enjoyed our short reviews and you consider following us. Oh, and look forward to our Age of Calamity review coming out soon too. What did you think of our reviews or any of the games that came out in 2020? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. We look forward to your varied opinions or your disagreements with us full of vitriol and hate. Thank you again for watching. See you in our next video.
I thought I got the last word.